All right, we're gonna give this a shot. This is episode 89. Haven't done one in less, just a little less than a month, and this has a lot. It's either gonna be really short because I can't talk about it, or it's gonna be kind of like my medical podcast. But let me get to the health updates I always give. So last time I gave a podcast, I told you that I had talked with my doctor, got some tests done, and all my inside stuff from when I was in the hospital was fine, except I was on the verge of being pre-diabetic, high cholesterol, all that fun stuff. So I've done a few things. I made some rules, and I went just broke the record, but I went 51 days without dessert, which my world that's almost impossible because I have dessert every time. No brownies, no cookies, nothing passed up, and you'll hear as I continue, passed up an incredible amount of things that I enjoy. And now I'm kind of used to it. I don't like it. I did break my streak on Sunday, and so I had 51 straight days. But I did do a my annual birthday dinner with Molly, and we always go to Olive Garden since she was little, and I had these chocolate donut things, and I blame Molly for breaking my streak because I think I could have gone without, but they were very good. Someone told me that I might realize that I don't even like that kind of food anymore after having that long without it. They were wrong. It was still awesome. I could have eaten the whole thing, but I didn't. Only had a couple. Didn't kill my day. I've been tracking calories, protein mainly, and sugar are the two things, and I've been good with that. I've got my iron up, so I'm working on it. What I found is I can't eat nearly as much as I used to. I'm not finishing meals anymore. I'm eating a lot more meals, less food. That makes sense, but everything's much smaller. I don't know if I like that or not. I feel ashamed that I can no longer finish a full plate of food. But I am down about 8 pounds. I hit 174.4, and I had a high of about 187. But when I started this, I was about 182 ish. So it's working. I can't say I like it. I think it's a harder lifestyle for those who watch their diet. Man, you're awesome. I don't enjoy it at all. I'm not eating a tremendous amount of vegetables, a lot more fruit than buying strawberries, watermelon, cantaloupe, that kind of stuff. Um, Back to eating my yogurt. The only sugar I put in things is my morning coffee. I cannot do without that, but I have cut out so far coffee drinks during the day. Getting something from bread peddlers or Starbucks or those kind of places. I'm just not doing it anymore. I don't like it, but I hope it's helping. I've started a new streak now. I'm like 6 or 7 days. So I was concerned about when I did have my first dessert, would that sort of start it over and I start eating everything? And up to this point, that has not happened. So that's it. Um, and so I don't have any notes. So I am recording this because I record them as a backup to my podcast in case I screw that up, and it'll go on YouTube. I don't have any notes for this one. I took some, but it's going to be a little bit random and may include tennis and it may not. Um, so listen if you want. Please, I'd probably stop right now if I were you. You also may hear my dog Willie. I've moved upstairs because I'm home alone and he might bark like crazy if I stay downstairs where I usually record. So you may see him right now. He's laying on his bed eating an empty yogurt container, so I'm perfectly fine with. That's what dogs do. But there may be some barking, some noises, whatever, but he's a dog and I'm going to let him be a dog. So this is really about my month of chaos and I'd say life, life changing, altering milestones in the last 6 weeks or so. I've had a lot. And I say I mean the people around me too, my family, my kids. But I'm the only one talking on this podcast, so I'm going to use the term I. I'm just going to go down the list and then talk about the important ones. And since about mid March, I had my first crown. It's a big deal. Got to get another one. It was fine, but I've got a fake tooth basically. I had my fourth round of skin cancer removed from my forehead. 27 stitches. It wasn't a big deal. Now that I've done it 4 times, it's not a big deal. Hope I don't have to do it again, but likely it's going to be a forever thing. I took a trip to Florida, which I podcasted about last time. We had Ben's 18th birthday. We've had Molly's 16th birthday. We've had my 51st birthday. I ran a half marathon. My son Ben enlisted in the National Guard. And as many of you know, my daughter Annie got married. And that is a lot. There might even be more, but those are the main things. So that is a lot to deal with. In the last 2 weeks, I have cried a lot. Those, again, that if you're listening to this and you know me, that's what I do at many things. I'm not embarrassed by it, except when it gets like slobbery and gross and I can't function anymore. But I only had a couple of those during all of this. But it was a lot of stuff. And I've mentioned to other people, when I turned 51 or 50 last year, didn't bother me at all. It was, I actually think 50 is a cool number. Feel fine. It was okay. Wasn't a big deal. All of these things made me understand where I'm at in my life, that I have kids that are becoming adults and old enough to do very, very important things and make major, some of the biggest life decisions you can make. And that has, it hasn't bothered me. It's made me think about a lot, about where I'm at and how we've done raising our kids, all those kind of things. I'm really going to focus on 3 of the things because I think they're the most important. I'm going to start with the easy one. I got another half marathon done and did fine. Drove to Louisville with Flamer and finished another one and felt good about it. We had originally discussed not going this year because we were the only ones available to go. And Flamer convinced me that if we didn't go this time, we think it's over. We don't think anybody else is going back. So drove to Louisville on a Friday, ran it on Saturday morning, drove home. Pretty exhausting with a wedding 5 days later. So I learned a couple things that finally, 51 years in and 20 some half marathons, I learned that it's a whole lot easier to run these things when you don't care how you do other than getting from A to B. So my whole goal when I ran the race was A to B. And if anybody was running near me, they heard me saying that to myself. I didn't care how I got there. Really, I didn't care how I got there. I wanted to get from that start line to the finish line in any form. Running, walking, sprinting, riding a goat, whatever. It didn't matter. I just wanted to get there. And you can hear the yogurt cup, can't you? Sorry, I don't know how to edit that out. And he's just flinging it around and I don't care. So, again, probably should stop listening. I didn't care, but it made the run. I've told some friends that run it. It's probably my best one, my favorite. Because when you don't give a shit, it's just go time at any pace you want. I high five people. I drank when I want to. I walked. I ran. I shuffled, and none of it ever stressed me out. And in my younger years, I was never that fast, but I was much faster. I stress ran. I realized I had certain paces to meet at certain mileages. I needed to be certain places, and if I wasn't, it would freak me out. And I'd finished the race. I was a mess, um, hurting, tired, whatever. I'm going to call it stress running. And this way, when you accept who you are, dang, it's easy. So I came in about 2:30. My fastest in my life was 1:48. So the tennis side of this and the coaching that I've been talking about on the court is finding a pace that you can repeat, something that's consistent. And early on, within the first half mile, I found a pace that I could repeat. And I watched my mileage when I was done. I looked at my split times, and I was within 5 seconds every mile. Never got faster, never got slower. And I think that's why it made it easy. My heart rate never changed. And I think that's important to find on the tennis court is something that you can just repeat over and over and over, always, and being consistent in that. Whether it's amazing or average, just a shot you can do for 2 or 3 sets. have that plus a little bit of glory, I think you got a chance to win, and there's no stress to it. You don't have to be amazing. My run was, I felt good. I wasn't tired. Cardio wise, I hurt. I was sore, but general soreness from a 51-year old who just did this. Um, so I think that's an important thing. You're playing, just understand who you are at that moment in your tennis life. I'm right now, know when I'm on the court, I am a much better coach than I used to be because I know who I am, what I'm good at, and I don't veer from that. I think I'm great at telling stories. Oh, you may hear the dog go crazy. The Amazon truck just pulled up. He likes to go nuts, so we'll see what happens. But that was my half marathon. I will be there again next year because next year it is on my birthday. I turned 52 on the day in the town I'm going to be running in, and I think that's going to be awesome. So anybody who wants to join me, you are welcome to. Next, and I don't know how much I'm going to say about this stuff, but Ben, who turned 18, graduates in June. Um, he is officially in the National Guard, Wisconsin National Guard, and it happened quick. I knew he'd been talking about it, but it's it crushed me. And he doesn't listen to this, but I think he understands and is probably embarrassed by me. But I was crying during the ceremony. I knew I would, but it hit me hard. Um, when I left, it's called MEPS. It's the Military Enlistment Processing Station. It's where everybody goes to do their testing, and they do the swearing in ceremonies, which I've never done. So this is a world I don't know anything about, and we're learning as a family. A lot of Google, a lot of YouTube, a lot of asking questions. So he'd been talking about it. We met with a recruiter, and it's again one of these things that I actually never thought he would actually do. I thought it would be a conversation and realize that it's not for him or it would scare him. It didn't, and I think he actually liked it more than he thought. So we go through all these meetings and questions, and he's doing testing, and it's kind of like when Annie left for California. I thought she's never going. She's just talking. She's 18. She thinks it's cool to say she's going to LA, and then one day she's gone. That day was December 28th, 2022. I won't forget it. But this one was, we go there, and it's real people in uniform and all different military branches. And if you're in the military, forgive me if I screw things up. I'm just not educated enough to probably say everything correct. But this place is for everybody, wherever you're going. And a lot of sitting, waiting, and seeing him doing different things, and filling out forms and acting like an adult. And it didn't really hit me what he's doing until we walk into a room and he is with seven, maybe eight other young people, 18, 19-year olds, all standing at attention, facing straight ahead. And we walk to the front, and all the flags are there, and there is military officials, drill sergeants. I'm not sure what to call them, but they were running the ceremony, and they had already clearly told them little things about how to behave, what to say, yes sir, yes ma'am, standing at attention, at ease. And I'm this is where I start to lose it a little bit. And they go through some stuff, tell some stories, and then my kid puts his, I'm on recording, but puts his right hand up in the air and starts saying the oath that he's going to serve his country. And I was a mess. Um, and this is harder for me because I don't know these people in the room. It's just families of kids who are all probably feeling the same thing. I was the only one crying. I think Shelly did a bit, but it hit me hard for many reasons to see my kid up there doing that. How awesome is that? I don't think there's much more honorable things in the world you can do. And I didn't do it. Maybe I wish I would have. Maybe I'm jealous, just like I was jealous when Annie went to California. And but to see that was super impactful. From that's my kid. He's going off to do these dangerous things and amazing things, and it's scary. But also the impact of looking at these young people who have decided to volunteer. Yes, they get paid, but you volunteer for this right now. To volunteer to go off and do these things and around the world and in our country and help us and protect us. And I'd never seen it before. And it's powerful. If you ever get a chance to go see a friend or family get sworn in, I'd encourage you to go. Um, it hit me hard. And as soon as I saw him standing at attention, I knew I'm done with him for a while, for some months, a lot of months. Someone else is now in charge of my kid. And that's tough. And I know those people in charge are highly skilled and trained, and they will make sure he's taken care of. But it's still a strange thing. I had it. I'll talk about that next when Annie got married and realizing that I'm done in certain ways, that she's someone else's responsibility in that now, and that's hard to do. So he's done. He's official. He signed his work. He's going to be gone July 29th. He's going to Georgia for basic training for 10 weeks, and then a couple days later to South Carolina for his job training for 22 weeks. So we're looking at 8 months without having my kid in the house. And that was crushing. So this podcast is about me talking tennis, but also my life. I walked out to the car, got in the car, was supposed to go to work at a 12:30 lesson, and this is about 12 o'clock. I could have made it. I couldn't do it. I broke down. I cried like a baby in my car. Same as I did when Annie left, only that was in my house. And it hit me hard. And I had to, thankfully, to my friend Kevin at the WAC, who covered my lesson for me because I was a mess. And it took me a day, 2 days to really feel somewhat normal. And it still bothers me. I have dreams about military stuff all the time now. Um, but it's going to be really rough on July 29th. But it's awesome. They're not mad tears. They're fearful, and it's my own fears. It's not his. He's a tough dude. I can say what I want because he won't listen to it. But um, super proud, amazing, happy for him, and terrified at the same time of what I think is coming. The only things I know of the Army are movies and boot camp and how you're treated, and um, that's what I'm fearful of what happens in that time with he gets hurt or we something happens here at home, and they have communication tools for all that stuff. It's well taken care of, and but that was, as you can imagine, crushing to me, and that's all I'm really going to say about it. So if you are in the military, awesome, thank you. If you've got any insight into basic training, I'd love to hear it. I'm asking everybody who's done it. I just want to make sure it's going to be okay. So I'd love to have that conversation if you've got experience in that. Um, so that happens. And then a couple days later, guess what we get to do? We get to have a wedding. Annie and Jack, it's official, it's done. They are Annie and Jack Olson. And that's weird. That's one of the things I was going to mention during the ceremony is that choked me up again was when I heard the minister announce, now introducing Annie and Jack Olson. And I'm like, that's not the right name. She's a Fix. She's been a Fix for 21 years. What the heck? So there were so many moments during this that messed me up. Um, I didn't realize that I was walking her down the aisle of all this stuff. I think I was consumed by the schedule and money and time and am I in the right place and all this stuff that goes into it. I've never really had a thought about I get to walk her down the aisle. And we got to the rehearsal, and I remember the minister said something like Annie and Scott and Shell go to the back. And that's when it hit me, and I lost it there too. So the first rehearsal, I'm crying walking down the aisle. Um, and I got better each one and then better during the ceremony. But lots of little moments. I have no notes for this, but it was awesome. I am not a fan of crowds. I wanted so badly for this wedding to be over, just because, not for Annie and Jack, but because of my own need for calm and peace and things to be the same in my house and in my world. And it was constant wedding talk. And um, so I say all that with also following up with, and when it was over, I was sad. I was bummed, like this can't be over. It was too much fun, and I don't like crowds of people. I don't go to other weddings. I don't do those things because I'm not a very good person. But I was bummed out. Um, I think it goes back to my I've talked about in my tennis world. I'm great as a leader on the court. I'm not very good as an assistant, a second coach, a follower. It's just who I am. I know I need to get better. Certain things I'm better, but because I had a role in this, it's my kid. I'm the dad. I have responsibilities. I felt like I played a small role. I think it was better for me. I actually enjoyed, don't tell anybody I said it, seeing people. I usually don't, but I got to see my cousins, my niece and nephew, Madison and Tristan, um, all the cousins together for the first time in years, just hanging out, enjoying themselves, getting to spend a couple of days together, hanging out in the hotel, talking with people I don't see much. And I'm not good at that in other settings. I've mentioned many times and tell people if you invite me to like your home for a dinner party or a get together, I'm gonna be the weird guy who sits in the corner and doesn't talk to anybody. It's just I'm not good at it. I have to have a role and know what my responsibility is, and this did that for me. Um, I've got to say thank you to my wife. Um, she's a saint. The wedding was freaking awesome. It was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it, and she handled the why it looked good was her. The flowers, the centerpieces, the decorations, the dresses, the you name it. It was fantastic, and there wasn't a thing out of place. And she did it all. I did absolutely nothing except maybe help hand the credit card to her and my daughter and be there. But I played no role. I take zero credit, and it was freaking beautiful. And Annie was happy the whole time. And every time I saw her, I had people comment that it looked like every single picture, even the candid ones, not the professional ones, were just awesome. So Annie, Jack, it was great. Hope you loved it. You guys are in Florida right now on your honeymoon, and I'm super mad at you because I'm not there and enjoying the beach and all that stuff. But some things I learned that we can go into the tennis part of it is, and I've been telling this story on court this week, is extension cords. Again, I can tell some stories because I know my family, my wife and kids do not listen to this. Annie does, and it was great, Annie. But I'm going to tell a story about extension cords. So Thursday morning, I'm driving to work, and Thursday's go time day. It's rehearsal at 5, and this wedding was put together by the families. So it's basically you walk into an empty venue that has nothing, and then turn it into a wedding. A lot of work, need a lot of people. So Thursday's go time. We get in at 5 o'clock, rehearsal, set up, food, all the stuff. About 7:30 on my way in, I get a call from Shell, and she's not. I don't know the right word because I don't want to be insensitive, but I'd say starting the anxiousness of being the mother of the bride. And we had a conversation about extension cords. She was concerned about, do we have enough extension cords? Do we have the right one? Are they 3 prongs or 2 prongs? Are they long enough? How many? Will they reach the tables? All that stuff. And so I have a problem with being a solution based person, and I just decided, cool, I'll go to Ace Hardware. I'll buy a bunch of extension cords. We'll take care of this. No problem. It's easy. And I mentioned to her, and she may say otherwise, but I tried to be as calm as I could, that let's not let the extension cord issue at 7:30 in the morning be the thing that throws us off and ruins our day, because there's going to be far more things. Like shortly after that, I had to go get the cake. That scared me. I'm the cake picker upper. That's huge. We can't have the wedding without a cake. Am I going to drop it? Is it going to melt in my car? Is it going to slide off the seat? What do I do with it? Do I put it in the seat belt? Is it correct? Um, all that stuff that you have to have. And so I tried to tell her, let's try to pick the big things. And I think that's valuable on the tennis court or anything, because my lessons this week have been, let's focus on the things that are going to cause your day to be ruined. And by that I mean, it's too dramatic, but I mean lose a tennis match. What's the thing that's going to cause you to be sad on your drive home? And not worry about these little small one-off things that happen, right? So I think it's important you're playing, and it could be tennis, any sport probably, or your daily life. Try to pick the things that are going to destroy your day. and stop those from happening. If you're on the court and I'm playing the greatest forehand hitter on the planet, I cannot let that dude or lady beat me with a forehand. They beat me with a one-handed backhand lob cross court over both me and my partner's head, then so be it. You can have that one. Kind of like the let them I talked about weeks ago. But focusing on what's going to cause your day to be ruined, and our day would have been ruined there if I dropped the cake. Somebody loses Annie's dress. A family member can't make the wedding because of traffic, or we get to the venue and it's full of snakes. All these big things, right? Because I was thinking about it, and the only thing in my mind that had to happen that day on Friday at 5:30 was Annie and Jack say, "I do." They're married. It's done. Everything else, who gives a shit? Sorry, Mom. I swear again. But I think it was in good context and appropriate for that. Everything else, the ceremony could have been trash. It could have rained, which it did later. Everything could have gone wrong. But as long as they say those two words, they're official, and Madison signs she's the witness, signs the wedding certificate. They're married. That was the only thing that had to happen today and that day, and they did it. And if everything else goes crap, then it's a great story down the road, and that they can tell every year. But when you're in a court playing, pick the things that are going to cause you to lose and be angry when you're done. And who cares about the one-off things that may happen to you? And stop being so reactionary is, I think, a good lesson I learned from that. I talked a lot here about communication and teamwork and dealing with your partner. One huge one we had, and so our bartender was my buddy Connor and my family's friend, who some of you at the WAC know Connor. He joined us. He's been crushing it. But I asked him to be my bartender for one reason. He had a bartender's license, and he's the only one I really knew. So he doesn't bartend. He's been behind a bar, but he's not a bartender by career. He's a tennis coach. But so I asked him if he'd be willing to be our bartender, and he said yes immediately because he says yes to everything, and it's great. And he also is a friend of our family and has known Madison Tristan forever. So I also assigned Madison and Tristan to be his assistant bartenders, and they haven't bartended before. So thanks to Peggy for teaching us how, and then Clara, a bridesmaid, for saving the day. But I put Tristan and Connor together behind the bar. Never done it before. And within a few minutes, these two are sort of the life of the party. They're the stringing machine of a tennis club. It's where people gather and ask questions. And they had people hanging out, and they're flinging drinks around and just nailed it because of that relationship. So they knew each other. Connor, I believe, was Tristan's middle school tennis coach. Connor is from Michigan, where Tristan lived, and knew each other since T was little. But what I noticed was that long-term relationship and comfortability, is that a word? Comfortableness, that made everything perfect. It didn't matter if the drink sucked. It mattered that these two were enjoying themselves and communicating well and were having a good time and on the same page and were engaging. And that's so hard to find with people on the tennis court, is getting that relationship, building long-term partnerships. You got to find somebody that you're comfortable with talking to. If you can't have a conversation with them in the lobby about something other than tennis, you probably shouldn't be on a competitive tennis team with them in most cases. I grew up with the same doubles partner, Spencer, since I was probably 10 years old. Willie, told you you'd hear the dog. We played since we were kids through high school into college, and that communication was as good as you're ever going to find. It's why we were very successful until I blew the state championship after we went in undefeated, but I'm over it. Well, so that communication is huge, and it's rare to find. And if you find it, you got to play with that person. Is sort of the lesson. Is figure out a way. And if you don't have it, spend some time hanging out with your partner outside of the court. Sit in the lobby, have a drink, get a coffee, something, because it is a huge thing. You don't have to play well perfectly if you have that. And T and Connor and Madison had that. It was great. That was another huge thing that kind of made me it made me super happy, but also made me sad. And then it made me feel weird because I'm the guy who hates people, but all of a sudden I'm in the middle of this and I'm enjoying myself. And yeah, I need a therapist for sure. On the same page of communication, these are all things. It's a world I didn't know, but Annie's wedding had Jack's family's big and they're great, and they brought a lot of people to help. And you've got mother of the bride and mother of the groom and the two dads and aunts and uncles and grandparents, and everybody sort of has an opinion on how things need to work, and maybe they're valid opinions, but the amount of work you have to do with large groups of people to communicate and get things done is amazing, and the compromises you have to make, there were a lot of them, and the lot of letting people talk who had an opinion, and then listening, and then trying to turn it, manipulate it to where you really want it. But the ultimate thing it came down to with everybody, and there were no big fights. I'm not saying that at all. It's the nature of having large groups. Is it always came down to what do Annie and Jack want? So if, let's say, and this did not happen, but let's say I wanted something set up in a certain way, and Jack's dad Steve wanted it in a different way. That always came down to what do Annie and Jack want? And there were multiple situations where they were asked, and that was awesome. And I hope they know that that's what the whole day was for those two. It was for them. And even though there's lots of things to do in a wedding, everybody was focused on that one thing. And I think, again, tennis, like taking that to the tennis court, whatever you're doing with your partner, it better have the same goal to win. And I'm all for social tennis, but I also coach. I coach because I want people to win more matches because I think winning is fun. And so if you're struggling, you're not communicating well, you're arguing, you have different theories on how you should do things on strategy wise, just make sure that the ultimate goal between those two players is winning more points than the other team, and keep I think you just got to keep that in mind, because you can always make good decisions if that's your leading thing. If I'm playing with Annie and I think we should lob every single time, but Annie looks over and sees we're playing two 7-foot giants with great overheads, she's going to have to figure out a way to say, that's cool, Dad, but if we want to win this match, look over there and look at those giants. Lobbing's not the trick. We got to go somewhere else. And we're going to have that conversation, because she knows that the ultimate goal is victory. And we have to come to an arrangement and a compromise. And that's it. And at their wedding, that was it. Everything went back to those two. What did they want? And I think they got a say in it. But I learned a crap load about tennis, people. I'm gonna do, if you're on court with me, I'm gonna be doing wedding analogies and maybe military ones soon for months, because that's all I do is take life stuff and try to use it. I like to tell stories, but anyway, it was a really challenging, um, difficult, sad, incredibly happy experience, and I'm glad it's over now. I missed a lot of work. Sorry, my whack people. I was in and out, and mentally and physically wasn't there some days. And I'm back, and I will try to make it up with you. I won't, but I'll try. Um, but it was a lot, and I'm good for some downtime until Ben takes off, and that's going to crush me. And I'll probably talk about that again if I'm able to speak. But I think there's some tennis things you can learn out of all that: the communication, the working with others, um, focusing on what's super important. That's it. You've got to say those words. If you are a military family or served, man, what a cool thing in the world to be in, and I'm hopeful we can navigate that like as good as we can, dealing with all that comes with it. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. You may have heard Will a couple times. He's in the corner now eating something. He ate a squirrel this week, but he ate the squirrel separate from the tail. The tail was like 3 days later. So that's a good story to end on. But thanks. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you all and talk to y'all on the next one. See ya.